Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life. I done 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories and some good insight on things related to the street, and I'm going to share some with y'all today. So let's get into it, man. Yeah, you see the title. Stomped, jumped, and left with lumps. Yeah, you already know what it is, man. We talking about that cat, Tekashi 6ix9ine, man. So, I guess yesterday at some time, they caught him slipping at a LA Fitness in Florida, from what I understand. And, beep, boop, bop, boop, boop, bop, beep, bop. They bust him up, man. Put the boo-bops on him. Put the footprints all on him. Stuff like that, right? And so, man, unfortunately, that's a horrific part of the game when you play the game, right? Okay, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but if you don't know, at some point, man, Tekashi was a rapper. He had joined the Bloods, and he ended up getting caught up in a situation, I believe, with some indictments of RICO or something like that. He ended up telling on a whole bunch of dudes, and he was facing a lot of time. He done a little bit of time, and he was out. He was a very famous, rich rapper, and in my opinion, since he's been out, he basically has been, thumbing his nose at the people that he told on, mocking them, walking around like, everything was good. And if you play in the streets long enough, you eventually gonna get ran over by a car, right? Now, you had some people trying to say he never was a real blood and this and that, they should have known better for having that dude around. But I disagree, right? There is the difference between a real blood and a real Crip is when you get caught up in a situation, you get caught up in those moments that test your character. Nobody's a real blood or a real Crip until they get caught up in a situation where they have to stand up and keep it solid. You know what I'm saying? So had I got caught up in my situation and started telling, then I wouldn't have been real. So you can't say that this dude was a superstar or whatever, or he was a rapper and they should have never had him around, because, nobody comes out the womb a gang member. So at some point in time, he had to willingly try to partake in the streets. And so, you can't, in my opinion, you can't say that, right? You can't say that. The dude ended up telling and stuff, and that's what separates the real from the fake. He couldn't stand up under the test of fire, right? So anyway, like I said, he testified on cats. He got out. He had been thumbing his nose, mocking people, basically saying couldn't nothing happen to him, and eventually they caught up with him. Now the tape, I've seen the tape several times. The tape is on Instagram. Of course I can't show it here due to YouTube's policy against showing violence, but you clearly see him on the floor. You got some big old giant dude stomping on him, punched him a couple of times. Then somebody came from in front of him and also kicked him in the face. And you can hear Tekashi saying like, all right, you're pulling my hair. Sound like he was gonna say, you're pulling my hair. And then the tape got cut off, right? For one, I don't see why this generation uploads that type of stuff, or even the individual who was beating up on Tekashi. I've heard people say out there that it's actually on his page. So I don't know why a person would record himself committing a crime like that and then upload it for people to see, if in fact that was the case, right? But then they also show Tekashi walking out of the bathroom, because he was jumped, I believe, in an LA Fitness bathroom. Then they also show him walking out of the bathroom and somebody basically clowning him, like saying, hey, what's up, man? I'm a fan of yours. And the dude was like, no. Tekashi was saying, no, you ain't no fan. You jumped me, and you can clearly see that the dude that's asking Tekashi these questions is making fun of him and stuff like that, right? But that's the situation when you out there and you playing in the streets, and you because Tekashi, like I said, he refused to, after he done what he done, he testified and all that type of stuff. He refused to stay humble. He was walking around flaunting, you know. Actually, I had just seen him a day or two before on some news show or something. I thought that he was in LA passing out money to the homeless. So when this initially happened, I thought that it had took place in Los Angeles, but I'm hearing people say that it took place in Florida or whatever. But he was out in Los Angeles passing out money to the homeless. He appeared to be giving away just $100 bills, and then at some point he just grabbed the big old stack of the money and he threw it up in the air. So it seemed like he took pride in walking around, you know, taunting people like, yeah, I'm out here, you know, what you gonna do to me? You guys ain't gonna do nothing to me. It seemed like he took pride in that, you know. Apparently, when they caught him at this gym in Florida, he didn't have a security guard, you know, and so they whooped on him, stomped on him, beat him up pretty bad. Seemed like, I don't know if they caught the dude up in there undressing or whatever, because he walked out in some extremely feminine looking undergarments, if you ask me, you know what I'm saying. But you know, well, who am I, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, the things that he had on was they was zesty, they was suspect, and you know, it was unbecoming of a man, in my opinion, for them things. Dun-dun-dun-duns. I don't know what, you know, I don't know what you would call him, what he had on, man, but the dude looked pretty sweet in those things, you know what I'm saying. And so man, that's the game that you play sometimes, man. When you want to run around and be in the streets, you know, it's a whole lot that comes with being in the streets. And I think a lot of times the pros, which are very few, of being in the streets, get glamorized and romanticized, and you know, and we often do not see the other side of the coin when people are captured by law enforcement and you have to go to jail and you have to deal with the you know, the cons excuse me, yeah, you have to deal with the cons of being in the streets, which is prison, which is, you know, your homies running off, people who you thought were your homies, now that you are locked up in prison, they're going past your house with the intention to try to mess with your girlfriend or whatever. You know, it's an extremely humongous negative downside that a lot of people don't mention about the streets. Like I said, you know, you see the rappers and these dudes with the chains and, you know, the nice looking women, the cars and stuff, but they don't show the other side of that. You know, they don't show the other side of being in the streets. And, you know, lately we have been seeing a lot of high profile rappers, when they do get caught up in a legal situation, they're choosing to cooperate with the police. You know, when you living in the lap of luxury and you go to prison, it's a extremely huge change, you know. And so now we're seeing a few rappers, they get caught up in just they're realizing that in you know, a week, 2-3 weeks, that hey, this hard sale, this is nothing like the nice house that I was living in, and they are not willing to stick to the so-called code to the street. So I think if there's any type of lesson we can get from this situation, we got to realize that those streets sometimes get ugly. And so the best way to avoid this situation from the gate is never to be out there faking and fronting in those streets. Because, you know, we hear of very, very, very few people who are really in the streets, really having street activities. And you don't hear often of people having long runs without ever having to endure the negative side of being in the streets. But anyway, that's my story right there. On old Tekashi 6ix9ine, he was jumped, stumped, and left with a gang of lumps for faking in them streets. You already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.